Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode on X4. Today we're going to be covering station building. And there's a few little bits that you need to do for station building. First off is having some credits to be able to do it. And second is having some blueprints to be able to build what you want to build. So the first thing you want to do is figure out what it is you want to build in this area of whatever it is you know. Your map may be different to mine depending on your start that you've done. This is directly from our campaign that we're running. If you want to check it out, you can see where we're at with that. But we're going to use this one because this one's got a little bit more credits and it's also got some blueprints that we've already got as well. Depending on your start, you will also depend on what blueprints you have. There is some variations to the start modes and stuff like that. For this one you didn't have energy cells, whereas a lot of the other ones do start with energy cells, which is a good starting point, by the way. However, whatever it is you decide to sell, you then need to build a station and provide it with resources to build and then a manager and run it. So how do we do all of them things? So the first things first,
Please note that any space weed consumption aboard this station
when this decides to
is
stop
against
talking.
the law.
So the first thing we need to do is figure out if we've got the blueprints for it. The easiest way to do that is, from my personal opinion, is just to start building. Or go to a faction representative and see if what it is you want you already have or you need. So let's figure that you want to go around traveling and find your faction rep. If you notice here, you'll notice these little icons here. We'll not talk about the orange one because that one doesn't really relate to us at the present moment, but you'll notice one that's got like a little crown on its head. That's a faction representative. So you want to fly yourself to wherever they are. Then once you've landed, you can then head over to a little transport here, and if you're in the right place you'll have representative's office and then whatever faction it is that they belong to. Faction representative Sulifu. Travel to. Once you're in there, head over to where they sit, which is behind the desk. Sulifu, show me your licenses and I would like to buy a blueprint. Licenses are later down the line we'll discuss. Right now I would like to buy blueprint. So you got three sections that you can do: modules, ships and equipment. Equipment is all of your equipment for your ships. The ships are the ships themselves, and modules is what we want right now. Generally it's easy to start with production modules. However, if you find yourself with lots of credits, you can start looking at other stuff as well. There are certain things you are going to need, however. Storage modules is one of them. You're probably going to be able to start off with the small stuff like I have. You'll notice the mediums and the larges are about 600 and 900. They do kind of like double up every time near enough. They add the same amount again on top. So they're to get later down the line, don't worry about them. Smalls will do just fine just to begin with. That's the first one you're going to need. You don't need build modules just yet. Habitat modules, again, you don't need. Some you may already have. Defense modules, we'll talk about in a later episode. Dock modules, you need at least one of these docks. Doesn't matter which one. And other modules, it's just your connectors and stuff like that. You can make your stations look a little bit fancier if you want to get different connectors and stuff. But you generally have a couple to start off with, so you don't need to worry about that too much. Our main one is production modules. So you need a couple of these to own to be able to start going. But to be fair, you only need one of them. I generally go for energy cell, which you notice I have already done. So that's one of the
Pleasant travels.
things to keep an eye out for. Once you've got yourself a blueprint, it's now time to build a station. So you now need to decide where it is you want to build it. You can build it based off wherever you want, or you can build it based off trades. If you're looking for specific trades like bought wares and sold wares. You see there's no sold wares for whole parts in anywhere in this area, so a whole parts factory might be good in this area here. Or you can go based off where your resources are, where they're all based. If you want to have a look at that, you can just click on whatever area you want. You notice it gives you your natural resources if you want to work off that. That one would be great if you want to do ice or silicon in Rock's Demise there. You notice you can start seeing where these locations are. Let's say we want to do something in here. You then want to go to this bottom left here, manage plots. You'll then notice it's got your current factories that you have, new plot, which is always highlighted, and then the size. The bigger the size, the more expensive it's going to be, and I'll explain that in a second. But to start off with, I'd just go for the basic plot size, create new plot, find yourself a location. You notice that the closer you get to certain things, the more expensive it is. Certainly near jump gates. Jump gates are your prime locations, because obviously that means people could just jump in and jump straight to your station. But you'll notice, like, going near where the resources are, you can actually build within the asteroid field if you want. Not too bad a price. So once you've decided what it is you want to do, you want to then click and drop it, like so. You'll then get this big red warning here. Building without a license will be seen as a hostile act by the local government. Once that starts building, it will become a threat to the area because you've not paid basically rent in the area. If this is not highlighted in a colour, if it's the grey here, you can disregard this because this isn't owned by a sector. However, if it then becomes owned, the same rules apply. Owning sectors we'll get into later down the line. So you're going to have to buy the license, which was what the credits were that it was showing. So you buy your license. From there, we now have a plot where we can legally build our station. If you hit the continue button, it takes us to said building location. You'll also notice there are other stations in your build station area, as long as you've got the standard settings. You can also see where the jump gates are and stuff like that. So you can build your station based off where everything is around you, or just how you want to build it. Everything will always need a dock module. Personally, I'd build a dock module first, because that's going to be where your manager sits. You then need next storage. I tend to put off a little thing to one side and then a cross section here, just so I'm not building directly on the dock area, because obviously ships are going to fly into that area, so you want to keep it nice and clear. You then want your storage modules for what it is you're doing. If you're unsure what it is you need, then the easiest way to do it is to put your production module down first. I'm going to put an antimatter cell down for now, like so. Right, what do I need for antimatter cells? Do I need solid? Do I need liquid? What do I need? Right, confirm your module changes on the right hand side. Now you'll see that the resources needed to complete, if that's not showing, it will show here, which you can just undrop, are now appeared, and we need to assign or hire a builder. However, we're not quite ready yet because we want to know what storage we need for the antimatter cells. Now that we've confirmed, nothing's going to change with that. That's done, dusted, and it is actually technically now requesting the resources. It can't give resources because if I drop that down and bring this here, you'll notice we've not put any available money in. So it can't do anything unless you have them resources that you're building already, which you probably don't because this is the first station you're building. If we now go to here on the top right, logical station overview, you'll notice everything's greyed out and lots of red markers. This station is missing storage, this station is missing storage, blah blah blah. I know hydrogen requires a liquid storage. However, if you didn't, drop down, it tells you it requires a liquid storage. Energy cells requires container, and the production, which is on the right hand side, also requires container. The way it goes is left hand side is what you put in, right hand side is what you get out. The production's in the middle here, and it tells you what it can produce, and it shows you per hour and the resources per hour. You can get a little bit more efficient with stuff if you want to do that. So back to our station configuration, which is here on the top right. We now know we need a liquid storage and a container storage, so we can simply put a liquid storage there and a container storage there. Some are a little bit easy like that where they've got two connection points, some may not, so you may have to build little bits off here and do that. But that station now, if I confirm the modules, is now available for production once it's completed. It's got everything it needs. However, you notice it says there is no pier module on this station. This cannot take large or extra large ships. However, you're probably going to struggle to get them in this section anywhere. It will only take medium and small, and it can only take 1 medium and 6 small on this one. This is a basic station to get you going with. Don't worry with it at first. It's just going to get you some resources. You can then assign or hire a builder next. So if you click on that, it will then bring you to your map. This is where, if you've got your satellites down, it's a lot easier to find a construction ship. You want to find one, right click, press select, then you have a builder. You notice it's a Boron Construction Vessel Walrus PAQ 237, and you get a little audio notification as well. So now that station is building, and it now needs resources. Managed by offers for needed resources. You can get into the details and you can reduce the prices of stuff down. I tend not to bother and just leave them as they are, because obviously the price fluctuations are all over the place and you can try and keep track of it, but it is a little bit harder. I want to put in whatever available credits I want. The more you put in, obviously, the quicker it's going to build. You're going to need all of it at some stage. Obviously, if you get some bits cheaper and stuff like that, it will fluctuate. So don't worry about that. But you want to put in as much credits as you can. That now is going to start putting in. If we go press down here, press it up here, you'll notice it's requesting the resources. Requesting water, hull parts, energy cells, and Claytronics. As you start to build stuff, so if you were, this was say hypothetically an energy cell production, which I already have, then you would be able to provide them for your own resources. You notice that it's a big chunk of energy cells. That would bring down the price of resources. Same as we are with water. We actually produce our own water, which is why water is coming from our own factory rather than from someone else, which again will reduce the price of the resources that we require, because we don't technically pay ourselves. So that's the kind of background of the building. What do we do once the building has been completed? So if I close this menu down here, so if we imagine we've just set ourselves to build another station. Now the Towering Wave Ice Refinery is one that I've set up as if it has just been completed. First of all, that's what you're going to have. You're going to have no station account credits, and you're going to have whatever's left in your funds for your production. You can leave the funds in there if you plan on improving it at a later stage, or you can remove them out and take them for your credits. Your station is going to need resources, so your best bet is to put in some resources, because it needs it to buy the energy cells if you haven't already got them, or other resources if it hasn't got them. There are a couple of other things you want to do. You want, first, before anything, you'll notice it has a big red thing here saying acquire manager. It's not going to do anything without a manager. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click here. No, we're not. I'm going to lie, because we've already got it open. You're going to go to your information here, to your crew, and you got to go, yep, there's no manager, we've got no crew. There are subordinates already, which I'll show you in a second. So I'm going to need myself a crew member. That is going to be a manager. So player information, drop down to the left hand side here to personnel management. We want a crew, display skill role for manager. You'll notice they're all leveled already. Make sure the skill level shows highest first, and go, right, I want a skill. So what managers do we have? Marines there on the Flying Fish. You're perfect. You're not a Marine. You're now work somewhere else for me. Right click your Towering Wave Ice Refinery, because that's what we were talking about, and assign to manager. Audible warning to tell you that it's been done. So our ice refinery now has a manager. It means it's now going to use the budget that we've given it to do everything it needs to do. What do I mean by that? Well, if you go to your logical overview by right clicking it, this here, it's going to start doing buy orders for ice, and it's also going to start selling you water and obviously buying your energy cells, which you can see we've got plenty of energy cells. Now there are certain things we can do, which I'll show you later down the line, which is to do with trading with stations. However, for now, this is just as standard will run, and it will buy from other people. You can then go one step further, and you can assign subordinates. So I had a Dolphin, which is a trader. So you right click the station that you want to assign it to. If we go here, and you go trade for commander, and then you select one of these 5, whichever one it is that you're doing, and that will then become a trader for that station specifically. What that means is it will buy and sell for that station. It will buy the energy cells, and it will also trade the water. It will try to do it as efficiently as what your manager is, which is why you want a decent manager for it. So now that your manager's been assigned, you can see it says restock cargo drones. You don't need to worry too much about that at this stage. It will be something that you need to look at a later stage, but for now that's your station pretty much built. It does take a while to build stuff, and you won't be able to assign a manager until your dock is built. You'll notice here this one's currently building a dock. However, there isn't much more to it than what we've already done. That station will now start producing credits for you. Now, you may not see your credits coming to the top left here because they go to the station accounts. You'll notice that I have station accounts with resources in each one. So all you need to do is, if you click on one of them, go to its information, and you can drag this down to say I want to just go there. Don't worry about the expected operating budget. That bases it off a lot of things. Just make sure you've got yourself some credits, enough that you want it to have. You can then confirm it needs some credits. The more it has, the more it can buy at any one time. However, that's more than enough for the station. Gives us 248,000 to play with, and we can then put that into other stations. That's more than enough. It's half of its resources already to do. If you want to just go quickly and you're starting to get credits, you can just accept the estimate, which will just drop it in. But I don't want to do that at the moment because that's just going to hold money in. There we go. So yeah, so that's station building. Hopefully that's going to help you start on your way with your stations. If you ever have any worries or anything like that, you can always right click them and go to the logical overview, and it tells you everything you need to know in here. You can see that this is producing plenty of graphene and stuff like that. If you're finding that it's got a backlog on certain things, you can then get your subordinates, and you can then add more subordinates. So for example, say the ice mine was struggling to get ice in, so the ice refinery is struggling to get ice in, which it is. We can then go, well, hold on a second, let's get you here, let's change you and put you over, right click, mine for commander, and get it to mine some more ice for you. This one will go through ice quite quickly, so my concern, especially with the borons, would be to get more miners in there so we can operate a little bit more efficiently, because then if you have a look, you'll notice that our trader is probably sitting around doing nothing for quite a while. It's got a couple of trades. That's good. So you want to keep that busy and going, so you want to try and produce as much water from ice as you can, so then you can add miners and stuff like that. You can also use anybody that's flying around doing other stuff. You can right click and you can actually buy and sell from, as you normally would. It acts exactly like the same as a normal station does, so you know, just treat it the same way, except it's yours, and it'll earn its own credits, and you can use them credits to then build more stations. As I mentioned, one of the things I would generally do is try and do energy cells as the first one. You've noticed everything, everywhere has energy cells somewhere in its production facility, in its production line and stuff like that. The basics will have energy cells, which then move on to bigger things. Producing stations, energy cells, producing ships somehow requires energy cells in its process. So use that as a prime example. Get them going first. Using energy cells, which generate from nothing, it requires no resources. It's the only one that does require no resources. You can then make money from nothing, and it also doesn't require any production. So it means that once you have it operational, and I can show you what I mean if I right click this one here, it literally just has production. There is no input, so all you need is an output, which is a container. So it requires less in terms of storage containers. You see, I've just got container storage. You also notice you don't need to connect the buildings. They don't need connection to work. They work. That will produce energy cells for me once it's built. From there, you can create money for nothing, use that to build other stations, and go on from there. Hopefully that's explained enough about station building. If you've got any questions, comments, or anything like that, there are more in-depth details, but this is very basic for the very basic playing. Once you want to get into more in-depth, we'll cover that in another guide, and you can look at things like you can adjust how your stations look, you can put them on weird planes, you can have them looking different, but you can do all that in the station simulator if you want to play around with it. And we'll talk about like doing things to improve efficiency and stuff like that later down the line. This is very, very basic, getting your station up and running and being able to produce resources. Let me know in the comment section if you've got any questions, ideas, or anything like that. But until next time, everybody, take care for now. Remember to hit that subscribe button if you want to get subscribing for more of our content on X4, and hit that bell notification to be notified when I do put more up. But until next time, everybody, take care for now, and I shall see you all on the next one. Bye bye for now.